Welcome back at Ask the Professor. I hope you really enjoyed this MOOC. I did, because a lot of questions get on the list, and I try also to give you some personal feedback. But okay, let's see how far I can come in the next week. So be aware and look at your question, and I will personally give some answers. So I hope you liked the course, and I think when I look at the questions, a long and a wide variety, and I think that's exactly what we like to achieve. How to understand the full system, and I think this is a nice warming up. And also we have this professional education after this book, so you can feel free if you like to continue. But let's start with the questions. System health monitoring was one of the questions, and I think a lot of people really like the idea and are wondering themselves how to implement and can I use it already. And I think the question is a nice one, but also we have already some progress on this subject. Because like here in Holland, we have already a system with big data combining with the full system approach, data combining, but also new elements, new sensors to put on board of the trains to get more information. Also train management data we can bring together and then also learn more about the full system. And that's exactly what you need, because then you can have more availability to get real asset management and also to do preventive maintenance. But I think system health monitoring is still possible, even when it was not designed in the old way. And that's not a problem, because you can do a lot already with simple sensors, but also sensors we also developed here at the TU Delft. You can put it on board, like axle box acceleration, and then you can exactly see what is the condition on the spot, on a running train, and you can put it just on a passenger train, on a freight train, it's no problem. You can measure a lot, and exactly that is really an issue you can use as a maintenance engineer for the future. So look around and be aware of these new techniques. And also in our courses with train and track, that's what we do already to do some professional education after this MOOC. We can also zoom in what we already have. And I think you can also learn on the journal papers we also publish on, and also not we, but also others around the world about this preventive maintenance. But there is still a system, so it's building up, and maybe it's also you who can build up as well. Another question was about earthquakes. How is earthquakes or vibrations in the ground, really heavy vibrations in the ground, related to maintenance, for example? Is there something already existing? Is there knowledge? Yes, there is knowledge. And also techniques who can see from outer space with remote sensing. You can see how the movements of the Earth is really, is there a problem, yes or no? You can make thresholds, you can also make this design. Is this really a problem? Should I take some actions when there is some earthquake or small vibration of movements, mud floods, for example? And it's easy to detect. Here in Holland, this data is for free because our government bought this data already for the industry in Holland. So it's very easy to get this data and also to collect and to make the analysis. Is there really a problem on that area, on that spot, yes or no? And twice a week you get refresh data, and you can see how to learn this delta, how you have to make some maintenance actions or not. Should I interfere because there is a safety issue or not? So this remote sensing technology is already available, it works, and it is very precise. We can already have 1 millimeter in a square XI area, but in the when you look at the full 3 dimensions, then I would say 10 centimeters is the accuracy you can achieve. But when you have this every week, twice a week, this data, it's very easy to see, is there a movement, yes or no? And then you know for sure, is there a risk and should I take some actions? So please look at Google and find yourself your way on this remote sensing technique. Really nice question is, what about trams? Is there some other knowledge? Is it different than heavy rail or heavy trains in relation to trams or metro systems? But I think trams has an own world, because it is smaller wheels, less weight or load, you could say, and it's also very strange because sometimes you have to go just around the corner with a very sharp edge, because you cannot ask half of the village to demolish it because you like to have a smooth long curve to go through. So I think wear is more related to trams because of the sharp edges, sharp curves, and a lot of flange contact, of course. When you look at heavy rail, it's more the stresses you get the problems, like RCF and corrugation, for example. So I think there is a different pattern, but in principle it is a wheel-rail contact. It is an interface. It's also the catenary with the pantograph. It's an interface. So the basics are there, but I think the conditions and also the parameters are a little different, because you have different rolling stock and also different behavior, because you have different characteristics. How and why, I would say that's too deep for now, but you can follow up all the online courses, also on the TU Delft, of course, to get more insight how this works. The last answer for today is about how to get or how to avoid slippery track. Nice question, of course, because when you look in the history, always people wait while it was slippery and then find the medicine to get rid of the slippery track. But I think my statement is, you should go to the basic and say, how can I avoid slippery track at all? Because that means you don't have any management or to control slippery track, because when you haven't any slippery track, you're done. So is there a solution in that way? When you look how we deal with this problem now is with sand or sand dyes, to spray it on or to push it down to get slippery track less important, because sand is helping, of course, but it's just a medicine. And I think I like to get rid of the disease. So what we tested already in Holland for more than 10 years is, can we use wheel-rail conditioning, friction manager and a friction modifier? How can I use such a third body, spray it on the wheel-rail interface in between, and is that enough to avoid all the problems we have with leaves and water and all kinds of things for the good conditions to get slippery track? And the answer is yes, you can manipulate this, and also you can make it more stabilized, so that the adhesion is not so fluctuating because it is raining or a nice sunshine as today. So how to make this happen? You use friction modifiers and a full wheel-rail conditioning system to do that. How, you could say, you use spray units on board, because that's the most efficient way, because when you drive the train, you spray this down directly on top of rail or in the flange side, you have directly, you're effective, and you can use the full system without much investments. I think that's most important, and it is easy to put it on trains, because most trains already have flange lubrication on board, so it's not that difficult to reshuffle that. So, nice homework. Maybe you can look at home and yourself in your own country. Is this really possible in our rolling stock area? And maybe you can tell it and look for further research on this topic, because I think it's very close to go to the market to get this really happening, this new innovation. I think it's not so important, it's not new, but it is really important to implement it, and I think that's the next step in this phase about wheel-rail conditioning. So maybe you can see it already very soon in your own country. So that's it. I really hope you enjoyed the MOOC. For me, as Ask the Professor, it's now finished for me. I will try to give you personal feedback, as I promised already at the introduction. I hope to see you back in the professional education courses, which you can already enroll yourself if you like. Of course, you have to pay for that, but also when you like to be a professional maintenance engineer, I think it's really useful to get this knowledge already on board for a very small amount of money, I think. And we can help you to get more basic journal papers, to get all the knowledge what is already there on rail maintenance, to put it already to you. I think that's a nice opportunity. I really enjoyed all the questions a lot this time, so I really appreciate it, and hopefully see you next time. And keep healthy in this crisis of COVID-19.